Kommt so zu. The Legend of Heroes, Trails in the Sky, wie Third. Beim letzten Mal haben wir die Ebene 6 ziemlich viel gemacht, fast prinzipiell die ganze Ebene fertig, ein paar Türen und jetzt wollen wir zumindest alle Türen, die wir aktuell noch machen können, fertig machen. So, Tür 10 war das letzte, was wir geschafft haben, dann gehen wir zur Nummer 11, falls ich das richtige Team habe, ja. Dann Sterntür 11. So. Dann gehen wir doch mal hier rein. Ah ja, der wieder. Overcome the trial before you. Then I shall grant to you a memory fragment and my blessing. Ich wollte Craft gerade gucken, warte mal. Die kontern wahrscheinlich alle Magie, ne? Schon wieder so ein scheiß Botmann. Klar, Moment. Direkt wieder. Hat sich direkt wieder ein Bot in den Chat geschlichen. Erstmal rausgeschmissen. Zack. Der ist besiegt. Gut. So, Shadow Spear. Arbeiten wir lieber mit Soul Blur. Out. Zack. Er ist leider gegen Nick wirklich schwach, das ist halt blöd. Ich hoffe, der Blindstart ist bald dann auch mal vorbei. So. La Curia. Und du heißt mal Analyze. Also mal stehen bleiben, zack. So. Jetzt sollte eigentlich auch kein Nachwuchs, in Anführungsstrichen Nachwuchs mehr kommen. Natürlich konnte er bis dahin nicht angreifen. So, dann doch endlich geschafft. You have overcome the trials, thus I shall grant to you a memory fragment and my blessing. Bleubanc. Okay. An investigative report on Phantom Spiel, his crimes, his history, and his true identity. Imperial Chronicle Investigative Team. Imperial Chronicle, das ist Ding hier, Erebonia. Fantasy Spiel has had quite a lengthy and productive career in thievery in the Empire, as the amount of records we have been able to find on his crime proves beyond a doubt. From numerous paintings held in the Imperial Art Gallery, to Septium crystal held in the Empire's customs warehouse, to even a cutting-edge tank held in an Imperial Army research facility. Nothing is truly safe when he desires to steal it. His conquests aren't limited to inanimate objects. He has been guilty of pretending to be a military officer and eloping with the wife of Marquis on one reported occasion. Yet, and this is perhaps the most baffling part, there's no concrete evidence to suggest he had profited from his exploit. Rather, the objects stolen usually end up in places so bizarre their owners are liable to faint upon hearing about them. In other cases, they are transformed into a mirror which is then rained down from the sky in areas largely inhabited by those less fortunate. Hearing this, one might be led to think him a vigilante thief who takes from the rich and gives to the poor, but make no mistake, the truth is not so simple. The wife of the Marquis discussed earlier is a fine example of that. As of this writing, it has been a little over half a year since the elopement took place. Since then, she has remained unaccounted for. Many of the items stolen by him may return to public eye in some fashion, but not all. Between his eccentric techniques and bizarre behavior regarding the object he steals, it might appear as though his thefts are purely whims and nothing else. Upon studying the overall picture and reviewing the objects, and indeed people, in play, you begin to see that they all have one specific thing in common. Take the artwork stolen from the Imperial Art Gallery, for example. Each of them were works of pure genius, painted by a master of their craft, but they gained a reputation for being too complex for the target audience of such works, the nobility, and were shamefully stored away instead of placed on display. Similar could be said of the Septium crystal. Known for its unparalleled beauty, after being seized by customs, it was sealed away in the warehouse and doomed never to be admired by human eyes again. Tank again is one more example with its promising development cut short. Rather than to put to good use, it was left collecting dust. As an aside, the case of Marquis's wife does contain some striking similarities. Despite marrying her, he devoted most of his attention to his concubines and barely spent a thought for her. In conclusion, we can see now that the underlying motive for his actions is finding objects of beauty that have been abandoned by the world and freeing them from their foolish owners. No matter how the world may see his crime, his motive is clear. The truth of that is evident in the cards he released before committing his crimes. This is the so-called liberation of beauty mentioned upon each of them. Phantom Thief B steals not for money, but for an ideal he believes in. And it is in this fact we believe are clues to his true identity. A number of valid theories have come about on the face behind our famed thief. Unfortunately, they are all as lacking in conclusive proof as they are numerous, and so it is impossible to say whether any of them are actually correct. To complicate matters further, we now even have deranged individuals coming forward, pretending to be him and allowing themselves to be captured by law enforcement. That is not to say, however, that none of the theories circulating are at all plausible. Here we will introduce these three such theories which have developed significant followings and may not turn out to be too far from the truth. Theory number 1, amorous con artist X. X's personal history. X is known for his exceptional skill as a con artist, having faked his own identity in order to engage in romantic relationships with many noblewomen. He was as handsome as he was capable, and he was exceptionally proud in nature as well. Born to a poor family in the temperate South, he became used to stealing in order to make ends meet from a young age. According to testimony from a companion of his at the time, he was never once caught for such thefts. The reason X converted from being a common thief to a con artist is believed to stem from falling in love with a noblewoman of much higher social standing than he. The rule of the aristocracy was absolute in the country he called home, and left romances between those of different classes unthinkable. With that in mind, he resolved to create a false identity in order to make his dream possible. Following his first rousing success, he came to do the same on a myriad of other occasions, indulging in one forbidden affair after another. It was a mere 10 years ago that he was arrested on suspicion of identity fraud, but he performed a miraculous escape from prison. Ever since then, his whereabouts have remained unknown. Thought. Both X's peerless skills as a thief and his interest in forbidden romances with noblewomen sounds remarkably like what we know of Phantom Thief B. Also worth noting is that despite using his abilities of deception to court those of vast wealth, he displayed virtually no interest in their fortunes. That is to say, he gained no financial benefit from his actions whatsoever. Instead, he simply lamented that he was unable to indulge in them because of something as trivial as a social class. We conclude that this attitude bears a striking resemblance to the thief's own views on beauty. Theory 2, Tragic Artist Y. Ich kriege leider keine Namen, das ist schade, weil in Cold Steel 4 gibt es einen, der potenziell sein könnte. Y was an artist with a rather tragic past. Born to a middle-class family in the North, he was hired by an influential aristocrat to be their personal artist, producing many a stunning piece of work. However, it was later discovered that he wasn't all he produced. On the contrary, he was also responsible for a number of counterfeit pieces. One who hired him sought to profit to ill means thanks to his work, and so he created such counterfeits under the noble's instructions. One day, however, Y suddenly left the noble's service. The reason remains unknown. This is where his tragedy begins. Immediately after leaving his client behind, Y received a terrible piece of news. His lover, the daughter of a respected family, had been killed in a traffic accident. While there is no evidence to prove as much, it is rumored that the noble may have had a hand in her death. Y was only spotted once more at his lover's grave before forever disappearing from the public eye. To those who knew his story, he became known as the truly tragic artist. Several years later, the noble was murdered. Thoughts. The story of Y still has several unsolved mysteries surrounding it and has invited much speculation, both of which have likely led to the theory that he and Phantom Thief B are one and the same. Those aren't the only reasons, naturally. Phantom Thief B has been known at times to try and dispose of counterfeits believing them to be false beauty. This has led some to believe that Phantom Thief B may be attempting to rid the world of counterfeit that he himself created. Lending further credibility to this is the discovery that the forgeries disposed of by Phantom Thief B were indeed the works of Y. Series 3 Skilled Martial Artist Z. Z's personal history. The story of Z is significantly different from the other two potential identities we have proposed here, making this an unusual but still plausible possibility. Z was born in the Far East as the son of a famed military family. He was an attractive, delicately built young man, but he was far more skilled at martial arts than his frame would have suggested, being blessed with great natural talent. He is also said to possess a keen, sharp mind, and there was a mild air of arrogance about him too. Z was indeed blessed in nearly every way. He came from an important family, he had skills, he had looks, and as a result, he came to feel bored with the world around him. He hardly kept such thoughts to himself. In fact, he often voiced his complaints to anyone within earshot. These complaints persisted until one day he simply disappeared, telling no one where he was going and leaving nothing to suggest his next destination. Thoughts. Much of this theory is based on the idea of geniuses being eccentric by nature. There are some who say that the fighting style of Z has some resemblance to the peculiar skills used by Phantom Thief B. But in terms of credibility, this theory is barely a cut above many other similarly unusual suggestions. Still, the idea that the man beneath the mask is one from the East is certainly an interesting and exciting one, leading men to wish it were true, even if they find themselves doubting it actually is. That brings us to the end of outlining 3 very different theories. Could X, Y, or Z be the true identity of our famed Phantom Thief? Or is the truth perhaps something else entirely? The only way we will know for sure is to hear the truth from the man himself. Of course, whether we can trust anything he says is a discussion for another time. Postscript. After this article was first published, we received a card believed to be from Phantom Thief B himself in our office. The contents of the cards are as follows. The truth of my identity is already within your grasp. My number reveals all. Judging by this, it is believed that one of the 3 theories proposed the true identity of Phantom Thief B. That says uncovering the meaning behind his words has proven to be a trying task. Dann Moment. Ist Enforcer Nummer 10. Will one valued reader be able to step forward and solve what we cannot? Only time will tell. Title Story Fantasy B Report finished. Fantasy B Thieves Cape, nice. Bevor ich da, ich muss. Sorry, kurz der Sound weg. Was ist sein. Ist er die 10? Ist er wirklich die 10? Wirklich Enforcer Nummer 10? Warte mal. Er ist Enforcer Nummer 10, das heißt, er ist C. Er ist nicht C. Er ist C, was? Er ist X. Er ist tatsächlich X. Okay, meine Theorie wäre jetzt tatsächlich gewesen, dass er alle ist. Also, dass alle 3 er sind. Das hätte mich nicht gewundert bei ihm. Aber er ist anscheinend X. Das heißt, er ist aus dem Süden, ne? Heißt das, kommt er vielleicht aus demselben, aus demselben Land wie Shara? Das wäre interessant. Kennen die sich vielleicht sogar? Ich weiß gar nicht, wie alt Bleubanc ist, aber vielleicht potenziell könnte es sogar sein, dass die sich theoretisch sogar kennen, wenn die vom selben Ort sind. Ich meine, sie sind ja beide anscheinend dann arm gewesen, wenn die beide vom selben Ort kommen. Aber gut. Guck mal, was Richard Story zu sagen. I shall grant to your memory fragment and my blessing. All day research. Oh. Richard und Amateur? All day research. One office. Oh my, look at all of this. I hope it will prove useful. I see, you've sure found out a lot. With this many potential cell routes, I've got nothing to fear. I'll be able to make my move into the burning capital as soon as I'm ready with this kind of information. You asked us to investigate the current situation with regard to opium sales in Arbonia, so I centered my investigation around stores in the region itself. And you did a fantastic job too. Still, the problem of transport remains. After all, old Borden's got its grubby hands all over the international liners already. It's true that the Borden family has preferential access to 40% of the load capacity of international airliners leaving Le Boeuf for Arbonia. However, they are no longer the only available option. They are now private carriers as well. Here are some supplementary materials regarding that issue. My, you certainly come prepared, don't you? Well, this request ended up taking a little longer than originally anticipated. Consider this a little extra nice in exchange. I like those who think two-step that. You sure you don't want to come and work for me? I'd pay you handsomely. I'm certainly flattered you think highly enough of my skill to offer. I'm not sure I have what it takes to be successful in the cutthroat world of business, though. I'm a rather timid man, you see. Come now, you can't fool me. Oh well, do keep my offer in mind if you would. Please allow us to escort you out. Oh, since I have you here, maybe I should give you one more thing to look into. I've already had Simon get started, but I'm not sure he's up to the task. Might be able to help if I can. Will this be another request to research a foreign market? It certainly will. Oh, look what you've got over there. Perfect. This place right here. Orid State. That's an unusual choice. It's quite a small place. It just makes it easier to seize the majority of the market. Small as it is, it's not like it isn't accessible by airliner, and what market there may be, there is all but what market there may be, there is all but free for the taking right now. So you want us to research the potential size of the market there, in other words? Shall we focus entirely on the open market or broaden the scope of our investigation and look into the market in general? The market in general. Do you think you can do it? With ease. I'll get in touch with one of your staff members, with one of our staff members stationed near the state right away and begin weighing options. That's what I want to hear. I'll be back here next week anyway. We can discuss the details then. Ta-da! Until then, take care. Er ist basically Detektiv ein bisschen. Oh, it's quite fine land. Went the Rains brothers in that general area of the continent? Yes, they are. I'll get in contact with them later. Thank you. He's not a merchant of Bowser for nothing, is she? He's always coming in with such interesting, ambitious requests. He's not half as ambitious as you are. I think you may be overestimating me a little bit. Well, can you show our next visitor in? Certainly. Hello there, Alan. Sorry for dropping in on you again. I just want to get your input on another little something regarding the city's finances. Oh, that won't be a bother at all. Please, take a seat. So what exactly can I help you with today? All seems to be going rather well with this business now, don't you think? Indeed. Although, I admit that it's taken me time to adjust my days being so peaceful. I do miss having a sense of tension in my life. That's something you'll just have to live with, I'm afraid. With civilians now, not soldiers. That's true enough. In any case, it's an honor to be able to live and work with you in the city where you were born, Your Excellency. Colonel, I really would prefer it if you addressed me as Sir now. My apologies, sir. There's no need to apologize. Well, I think we should probably go inside. I'm not sure I like the look of this guy. It couldn't be. Sir, is something the matter? Oh, it's nothing of much importance. I just noticed that we seem to have mistakenly received another letter intended for the mail. It's understandable that it keeps happening given that this building was previously his, but it is a tad troublesome nonetheless. I suppose I'd better go and deliver it to him. It could be something important. Now, sir? Couldn't it wait? It seems like it's going to start raining any minute. It's not that too far. Even if it does start raining, I won't be exposed to it for long. Can I ask you to handle regular reports in the meantime? Yes, of course. There's no mistaking it. Da fängt an zu regnen. That letter was sealed in a special way we used in the intelligence division. The letter itself is a meaningless decoy. The real message is concealed in how the envelope itself is sealed. It means come to the landing port. Someone from the intelligence division is calling me in hopes of speaking to me. Most likely because they bear deep-seated resentment toward me and what I did to them. And I have a duty to go and see them. After all, I was their commander. I was the one who pushed their life off the rails and ruined their futures. I've been waiting for you. So it was you, Sender. Indeed, it's good to see you again, Colonel. I'm pleased to see you're still well. I'm not Colonel, mere Sender. So I feel as though saying as much has become a hobby. No one around me seems willing to correct themselves. Oh, I'm aware, but today I intend to address you as Colonel nonetheless. I called you here because I have something that I need to ask you. I hope you can forgive me for forcing you to come out here with the weather so poor. If I can answer your questions, I will. Don't feel as if you need to hold back on my account. If you can't accept something in the answer I give you, by all means, say so. Then I get straight to the point. Why did you leave the army behind, Colonel? What happened to your love for your country? I see you at least returned to the military. I was relieved to see that, in truth. You were always an exceptionally capable soldier, even back in the military academy. If you hadn't had the misfortune of meeting me, if you hadn't had the misfortune of being caught up in my foolishness, you would probably be a field officer by now. I'm truly sorry about what I did to you. Please don't get me wrong, Colonel. I don't in any way blame you or harbor resentment for what you did. You thought that about what was best for this country more than anyone else I know. Your patriotism was genuine and heartfelt. I don't regret following you at all. I'm honored that I could. It's certainly true that doing so has become a significant obstacle in my chances of promotion, but I couldn't care less about that. As long as I can continue to serve in the military, to serve the country I love with all my heart, I am happy. Know that I harbor no ill feeling toward you regardless of the path. But what are you doing now? You used to worry for this country's future more than any of us. You care for it more than any other. Yet instead of picking yourself up and trying to work for your nation again, you left the army behind. And now you're running some sort of company that deals with the rich? Just what happened to your patriotism? I beg of you, return to the military. You're a capable man. Those skills of yours would be a valuable asset to the force, and it's where you should be using them. I'm sorry, Sander. I cannot ever return to the army again. Why? Why, Colonel? You have repented more than enough for your actions. Both General Morgan and Brigadier General Bright actively desire your return. I and all of the other soldiers in my position would be overjoyed to have you in our ranks again. So why? Why do you look at me with that sad expression and tell me that it's not possible? Why would you apologize to me? Make no mistake, Sander, I haven't abandoned my love for my country. It burns brightly in my heart as it ever did. But what I did was truly terrible. I organized a coup d'etat, destabilizing this nation and disrupting the lives of countless people. Thanks to the help of all those around me, I was able to realize what a foolish mistake I made. And yet in my heart, I feel exactly the same way I always did. I'm not sure what you mean. In spite of all that happened, my love for my country is unchanged. I still feel the blind desire to do anything I can to aid liberal, no matter how reckless or dangerous it may be. I'm the same man I was when I plotted that coup d'etat. Not a thing has changed. That, though, Sander, terrifies me. That thought, though. But when you didn't leave the military because you had lost your love for your country, you're saying that you left it because you still love your country? Forgive me, I have no right to be making excuses to you and trying to justify myself. Not after I dragged all of you down with me and ruined your life forever. I truly am sorry for what I did to you and all of the other members of the division. Please, don't misunderstand. I didn't leave the army in an attempt to run from my own weaknesses. Nor did I leave it because I was ashamed of the treatment I received for my actions. After what happened, I thought long and hard about what I should have done instead of what I did, trying to work out where I'd gone wrong. As I did that, I noticed something vitally important that I had failed to realize up until that point. After setting up the intelligence division, I began gathering information and using it to protect the world. Yet thinking about it now, I didn't know the first thing about the nature of information at the time. Information isn't something that exists alone. It only exists when people use it and see it as something of worth. Furthermore, the value of that information can change radically depending on the position and perspective of those who look at it. Can't help but wonder if overlooking this simple fact was what caused my patriotism to start to become more of a force for harm than good. Somewhere along the line, I started to believe that all the information I saw as valuable was of any importance, and as a result, I ended up wanting power in order to compensate for the weakness of my own heart. Thinking back, I think what I really needed was a different perspective through which to view information, one separate from the military, one that doesn't see the country or people's way of life as system or as numbers and absolutes. I needed to be collecting information that was disadvantageous to the world too, rather than cast it all aside. I needed to view us and the surrounding nations in a variety of lights while collecting a wide variety of information from a freer perspective. So you believe the company you're running now is capable of doing that? Yes, I do. I can't say for sure that this will allow me to avoid repeating my past mistakes. Perhaps there is something more important that I should have been doing before giving thought to any of this to begin with. But in the end, I came to the conclusion that the bird needs a fresh perspective, and I then resolved to leave the army. If it needs a means to gather intel, it can make another intelligent division. That is for Brigadier General Bright to worry about, not me. The civilian population has no such group or organization. It's never had one. I doubt anyone in the civilian world has ever thought to create one in order to gather and accurately analyze information either. That was why I, a civilian like every other, could choose to establish R&A research, believing that I am the right person to be the first to do so. You truly don't have any intention of returning to the military, do you? If I said there wasn't a part of me that longed to return to my days of active service, I would be lying. But I'm hoping that through this, I will be able to become another eye by which to support this nation. And I see my current occupation as a new way to show my love for my country. I wonder if that makes any sense? You're a coward. No doubt every word you're saying is objectively correct. That's how you've always been. There's never been room for a rebuttal in your argument. But Colonel, you're also no longer a man who swore to forge this kingdom's future with his own two hands. Goodbye, Colonel. We will never meet again. That's not true. That's not true at all, Sander. I've chosen the path I now walk, believing in it to be right, certainly. But even I don't know for sure if what I'm doing is correct. Even now I'm terrified of the possibility that I might be making the wrong choice. I worry that the road I walk might be the makings of yet another grave mistake. I just don't have the same power that Brigadier General Bright does. I really am hopeless. Sir? You didn't have to come out here in the rain? We should return to the office. You'll catch a cold staying out here much longer. Haben die in Liberl keine Regenschirme? Kanona, I'm sure he's just having trouble coming to terms with his new life too. You just can't forget the fervent enthusiasm of the intelligence division. As if he doesn't feel like he belongs in the world that's come after it. The day will eventually come when he will be able to understand what you said. That's exactly what happened to me, you know? That's true, I suppose. Haha, you're right. Shall we be going then, Kanone? Yes, sir. Ich finde immer noch aus Perspektive, dass meine Muttersprache Deutsch immer noch weird, ihren Namen. I wasn't expecting to end up quite this soaked. Are you alright? I'm fine, don't worry about me. This actually brings back fond memories of the survivor training I underwent back at the academy. I do think you should go and get changed into some dry clothes, though, sir. I never hurt anyone. I don't believe so. I was half bad at my own survivor training, you know. Even then. An encrypted call. Dylan did mention that he had some information of interest in his report earlier. Perhaps this relates to that. Sounds possible. Which would mean that something has happened over in the Republic. Haha, interessant. Yes, that's me. Can you please stop calling me that? Yes, that's right. Yes, in the Eastern Quarter. We don't have anyone there yet thinking about it. Alright, I'll look into it the best as I can. Alright, you be careful too. Has something happened? Another Jaeger Corps has entered the Eastern Quarter. A sizable one too. The Red Constellation, Really, there seems to be rather a lot of activity on the Jaeger front of late. Their arrival makes it very likely that the power struggle there will begin to worsen too. I doubt the old intelligence division network is going to be sufficient to fully stay on top of the situation. I think I may have to head there personally. Oh, okay. Hoffnung für Kuro. Das neue Trail-Spiel, was in Calvert spielen wird. Dass er da dabei sein wird. So left doubts about what I'm doing. Nothing about my love for my country has changed. Nothing at all. So, is it even possible for me to find and walk the right path this time? Is it truly possible for any mortal to forge the correct path through life? I don't know, but all I can do is try to follow the path I believe to be right in hopes that I'm not mistaken. Believing in those who have supported me and worked to right my wrong. Sir? Is something wrong, sir? Oh, you're here, Kanone. I did tell you that you didn't need to come and see me off, you know. You did, but I'm afraid that simply won't do. Seeing off their superiors is the duty of the subordinate. Perhaps in the military, but that is no longer the world we live in. There's no need to act like a soldier anymore. Oh, and one more thing. Please do take good care of things in the office while I'm gone. I think the odds of any large request you'll struggle to hand without me cutting in are fairly low at least, but leave everything to me, sir. I'll be sure to handle every request that comes in with care and kindness. I'm well aware of you always look forward to taking on small requests too, so they will be given the same high standard of service as any other. You know me too well. Oh. Zeke? What on earth is Julius Bird doing here? Great! Don't you just sit on His Excellency's arm as if it's your own personal property? Great! Oh, please, Kanone, there's no need to glare at him like that. Also, please stop calling me Your Excellency. Great. Richard then noticed that there was a note attached to Zeke's leg. What's this? It's addressed to me. Great. Richard took the memo from Zeke's leg. This looks like a letter from HQ. As a military HQ. Why the Royal Guard's carrier file can bring a message to you? Who knows, its writer is the real slave driver though. Thank you for delivering this, Zeke. Let him know that I accepted his request. Great. Logischerweise Cassius. Hat er ihn vielleicht als Aufgabe, hat er mitbekommen, dass er nach Calvert reist und er soll jetzt sich mit Kaffei treffen? Sir, what's that? See for yourself. Best of luck with your little trip. We'd like to know what the West Constellation is up to too, so we'd appreciate you looking into it for us on the side. Honestly, I hope you don't think this information is going to come cheap, Brigadier General. Okay, ja, er hat ihm deutlich gesagt, er soll sich mit Kaffei treffen. Das wäre auch ein ziemlicher Cassius-Move eigentlich gewesen. Um dafür zu sorgen, dass Richard noch stärker wird. Side story. I accept your request. Finished.